Employees crying at their desks, 85-hour work weeks, answering email 24/7. Those are just some of the details of what it's like to work at Amazon, according to a bleak report in the New York Times published this week. Amazon, though, pushing back very hard. Senior VP of Worldwide Corporate Affairs, Jay Carney, saying it's not the case, saying Amazon is a, quote, incredibly compelling workplace. Either way, this Times report prompted a widespread conversation about work culture, especially in the tech industry. One unexpected voice has posed a challenge to big companies. Break that cycle. He is Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskovitz. He's also the co-founder and CEO of software firm Asana. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Poppy.
It's a fascinating read, and I think it hits home for a lot of us, trying to find that balance. I want to read an excerpt from a piece that you wrote about this in Medium. It says, and let me quote here, many people believe the weekend and the, let's pull up, sorry, that's the wrong one. All right, here's what it says. As an industry, we are falling short of our potential. My intellectual conclusion is that these companies are both destroying the personal lives of their employees and getting nothing in return. I wish I had slept more hours and exercised regularly. I wish I had made better decisions about what to eat or drink. At times, I consumed more soda and energy drinks than water. I wish I had made more time for other experiences. It helped me grow incredibly quickly once I gave them a chance. All right, we know you worked incredibly hard starting Facebook. You've made $9 billion off of it. Do you think Facebook would be what it is today and that you'd be the success you are today if you had cut back a lot?
Yeah, thank you for asking me that. I think that's sort of the hardest question here is like, is it all worth it? Like, do you have to work that hard to have that level of success? And I really think the answer is no. I actually think if I had worked less, if I had made more time for the things that helped me cultivate energy and focus better and just be a more centered human, I actually would have been more effective for Facebook and been a better leader, been able to use my time more effectively and just form better relationships.
Well, I mean, you talk about throwing out your back in your 20s.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I mean, those things like get in the way too, for sure. I mean, I was, when that happens, you're basically unable to work for a week. And that's my personal experience, but there's also a ton of research that makes it very clear that if you work too hard, you burn out and you increase the risk of those kind of injuries as well as mental health problems.
All right, so let's get to some of that research. You also write in this piece, many people believe that the weekend and the 40-hour work weeks are some sort of great compromise between capitalism and hedonism, but that's not historically accurate. And you point to Henry Ford, and you point to sort of the assembly line, et cetera. But wasn't he talking about sort of manual labor on the line, day in, day out? Aren't tech jobs, development jobs different than that, where perhaps 40 hours a week might benefit you more than 40 hours a week?
I think there's an argument to that, but my intuition is doing creative work actually requires more energy, and I think there's every reason to believe that working too long would be even harder on people in creative positions. There's also been a lot of research since Henry Ford. I mean, that was the early part of the 20th century, and a lot of people have replicated the studies in other industries, including other blue-collar jobs like construction, but also more recently. People have even looked at this topic within industries much closer to our own, like the gaming industry. And you just always get the same results, and it matches my personal experience and the experience of a lot of people I've worked with.
Well, you say that this mindset, right, that something is just wrong across the board, especially in tech companies. You say the mindset can lead to ageism and sexism. Expand on that a little bit.
Well, yeah, so just, what I've observed is a lot of people, basically in their 20s are able to work these hours for a little bit of time, and then later they burn out and realize they kind of have to make room for other parts of their life. But when you're in a intense work environment, those people are being compared to people who are further along, might be beginning to have babies and start families, and they're just not able to work those kind of hours and raise a family, and just means that they end up contrasting poorly if the way they're being measured is on FaceTime and the amount of intensity and work hours they're bringing every week.
But how do you change mindset at the top, right? Because one of the issues is when you work a lot, there's a perception of you that you work all the time, and then if you don't, then you're a slacker. So how do you change perception at the top?
It's a difficult problem, and really, like I said, I think we need to break the cycle. A lot of it is just people signaling off of what's been done in the past. but we have a new generation of leaders, and what I've seen is that a lot of the companies that are started by entrepreneurs that are a little further along in their career, they just build this in as a value from the beginning. They set a great example for their workers by leaving at a reasonable hour. You mentioned a story earlier about Blake from Tom Shoes, making a point of taking his paternity leave to make sure that his other employees would as well. So it's things like that. We need to
from the top.
Need to make it clear that this is the culture we're going for, and we also need managers who will make sure to think harder about performance and do more than just see someone at their desk toiling away and sweating, and think about the actual impact they're having as a way of measuring their contributions.
All right, well, Dustin Moskovitz, I would point everyone to Medium to read Work Hard, Live Well, what you wrote about this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.